911? There's a black mailman on Magnolia, sitting on the bench with a little white girl. I don't like how he's touching her. Send someone now.
Mailman loitering on Magnolia, touching a child, called police. 11 seconds earlier, Anthony Wallace, 13 years on Route 18, noticed the sedan at 221 Magnolia. No engine sound.
Never seen plates like those on this route. Driver hasn't moved.
Emily. Hey, Emily. Your mom sent me to pick you up. Come on, get in.
Sophia Harper slowed. The man called her Emily. That wasn't her name. Something felt wrong.
Sophia, wait up. Sweetheart, I've got those fruit snacks you like in the cooler. Come sit with me a minute. Take a seat, sweetheart. I'll call your mom right now. How was school today?
Within 20 seconds, the sedan slipped out of the cul-de-sac, disappearing toward the main road. Anthony dialed Sophia's mother. 4 minutes later, 2 patrol cars arrived. Karen was already on her porch, pointing.
Sir, we got a report about a man loitering with a child. Can you explain what's going on?
I saw the sedan. The driver called her by a name that wasn't hers. I sat down to block his view. The house across the street has a Ring camera, officer. It would have caught everything.
Jenner glanced at the blue house diagonally across the bench. A Ring doorbell was mounted beside the front door.
Officer, is Anthony okay? I've been watching from my doorbell camera. I saved it. Look here.
The Ring footage showed the sedan idling, the driver leaning out his window, calling Emily. Then Anthony strode into the frame, sat down on the bench, and the sedan fled within seconds.
He wasn't loitering. He saved her. I don't care what a camera shows. He was sitting there, touching a child. Arrest him.
Dispatch. We needed 1028 on plate Alpha Delta 907. Charlie, possible child abduction attempt. Suspect fled.
The plates came back flagged. The driver was on a national interstate watch list for attempted child abductions across 3 states.
Miss Whitfield, we have evidence that man was a predator. Your mailman intervened. I don't believe that. You are just protecting him because he's one of you.
At the end of the cul-de-sac, a car screeched to a stop. Laura Harper bolted out, running past the patrol cars.
Sophia. Oh God, Sophia.
She dropped to her knees on the grass and pulled Sophia into her arms, sobbing.
Mr. Wallace, I am Michael Harper, retired police major. You saved my daughter. I don't have words.
I just kept my eyes open, Major. She's a sweet kid. I am glad she's safe.
Across the street, a neighbor captured Karen's next-door post with a screenshot. It had already been shared to a private group outside the neighborhood. By morning, that screenshot had been shared over 4,000 times. The local NBC affiliate had already called the cul-de-sac. At 8:15, a news van parked at the Magnolia Court entrance. Anthony's supervisor called him at 7 a.m. The news station wanted an interview.
I am not a hero, sir. I just paid attention.
Karen Whitfield checked her business email before 9. 3 landscaping contracts had been canceled overnight.
They're canceling because of that post? I was protecting the neighborhood.
The HOA board received 17 emails demanding an emergency meeting. One board member told her outright, "You put the whole neighborhood in the news, Karen," at her son's private school. Reporters approached the 14-year-old as he left the building.
They're dragging my son into this? I did nothing wrong.
That afternoon, state troopers spotted the sedan 3 hours west on I-85. The driver surrendered without a word. The evening news broke. Local mailman's alertness credited for the capture of a fugitive on a federal watch list. At 6:30, the Magnolia Court HOA board convened an emergency session in the president's own living room. A board member spoke. "You posted a lie, Karen. You need to resign."
I will not resign. I was protecting this neighborhood. When the truth comes out, you'll all apologize.
The board's vote was unanimous, except for Karen herself. Formal removal proceedings began that night. After the meeting, Anthony walked across the street to Marcus's porch, where a single light was on.
They tried to burn you down, and now you are on every news channel. Life is wild.
I am just glad the little girl is safe. The rest is noise.
Karen remained defiant, but the tide had turned. The ring footage had shifted everything. The next morning, Marcus Williams gave his permission. The full ring footage aired on the noon broadcast. Viewers saw the sedan, the driver leaning out, calling Emily. Then Anthony strode into frame and sat down. Within seconds, the sedan fled. The girl turned her head, confusion giving way to safety. That afternoon, Whitfield Landscaping lost 3 more commercial contracts. The clients cited reputation concerns. At her son's school, administrators released a statement. "We do not endorse Miss Whitfield's remarks and are examining his enrollment." Karen posted again. "Everyone is twisting this. I called for child safety. The mailman was still a stranger sitting with a child. I would do it again." The comments detonated. Hundreds called her out, naming her the aggressor, not the protector. Even her own HOA board publicly condemned her continued harassment of a man who saved a little girl. The formal vote of no confidence was set for Friday. Karen refused to comment. Anthony's supervisor called again. The regional office wanted to discuss a new safety initiative. On Friday, the HOA board gathered again, same living room. Karen sat rigid, saying nothing. One member read aloud, "The board votes to remove Karen Whitfield as president, effective immediately." The vote slip was signed and dated. Her name was struck from the HOA roster. Within the hour, the HOA posted, "We apologize to Anthony Wallace. He was protecting our neighborhood, not loitering. We are grateful."
I won't apologize. I did what I thought was right. A black stranger sitting with a white child. Any mother would be concerned.
That evening, Anthony's phone rang. His supervisor said the regional office wanted a pilot program, mail carriers as extra eyes on the street. Before Anthony could answer the supervisor, another call came through. Michael Harper.
Mr. Wallace, I'd like to buy you a coffee. I've been thinking about what you did. There's something we should talk about. A neighborhood watch, but trained by mail carriers. They know every face, every street. Eyes on the route. I am calling it?
I am just a mailman, Major. I don't know if I am the right man for that.
You are the only black mailman on this route for 13 years, Anthony. You read every street. That's not just. That's expertise. I'll cover the pilot myself. No fuss. We can start with 12 carriers. Your observations.
13 years I've walked these blocks. Maybe paying attention is enough reason to stand up.
While Anthony weighed his answer, a local reporter uncovered Karen Whitfield's closed-session HOA complaints from the previous 3 years. One from 2022 read, "A group of black teens walking through the cul-de-sac after dark. Recommend police patrol. No crime occurred." Karen Whitfield reached at her home, refused to comment on the past complaints. Her son's school had already started withdrawal paperwork. The evening news led with the story. Suburban HOA. President targeted minorities for years before falsely accusing hero mailman.
She accused me because of who she is, not what I did. And yet a child is alive because I didn't hesitate. Maybe that's the only thing that matters.
Anthony still hadn't given Michael an answer, but that night he sat on his porch and didn't turn the light off until 11. He had a route to walk in the morning. The question of eyes on the route would have to wait, but it had already taken root. The next morning, the local NBC aired Anthony Wallace's first on-camera interview. He sat in his living room, USPS shirt pressed.
I am not a hero. A man called a child by the wrong name. So I sat down.
The clip hit 2 million views by noon. Comments poured in. "Protect this man at all costs." Meanwhile, a second reporter uncovered 3 more HOA complaints Karen had filed, all targeting black residents for innocuous behavior. One complaint described a black teenager walking too slowly past her house. Another flagged a family for too many visitors. By Friday, the private school sent a formal letter. Tyler Whitfield's enrollment was under review. Karen Whitfield, now silent, watched her landscaping business lose its last standing contract. The van sat unused. She refused all interview requests. Her next-door account went dark. Anthony, climbing into his postal truck, saw a neighbor wave. He waved back. The program question followed him.
I haven't called Michael back, but I keep hearing him. You are the only black mailman on this route for 13 years.
By the end of the week, a notice appeared on the Whitfield front door. The bank had moved to repossess. That same day, the HOA posted a second time. We officially thank Anthony Wallace for his vigilance and character. The post office fielded calls from 3 nearby districts, all asking about a carrier watch program. On the phone, his supervisor made it official. We want you to help design a pilot. 12 carriers. Your observations. You are the one who proved it works.
I'd be setting a direction. That's not just paying attention.
He delivered his route that afternoon in a kind of daze, paying even closer attention than usual. He passed the bench. Someone had left a small bunch of store-bought flowers on the slats.
Maybe just a mailman is exactly who should be watching.
That night, he picked up the phone.
Tell me more.
The call with Michael Harper lasted an hour. When they hung up, Anthony walked across the street to Marcus's porch, where the light was on.
So the post office wants you to teach other carriers how to watch. That's a big jump from walking your route.
I don't want my face on a poster, Marcus. But if another child gets grabbed because nobody was looking.
2 days later, Anthony met Michael for coffee again. The same shop, same table.
I'll fund the pilot quietly. No press. You train 12 carriers, using what you saw that day.
All right. But I am not going to stand in front of cameras. I'll teach them what to look for. That's it.
A week later, in a small USPS training room, 12 mail carriers sat in folding chairs. Anthony stood at the front, hands in his pockets.
I am not here to make speeches. I am here because I sat down on a bench at the right time. Every one of you has that same instinct.
They talked through the afternoon. How to read a street, how a silent engine means something. How to ask a child a question that doesn't scare them. At the end, one carrier asked, "What if we get it wrong?" Anthony didn't blink. Then you learn. But what if you get it right? 2 months passed. The pilot ran quietly. Then, one Tuesday afternoon, a mail carrier in a neighboring county saw a man offer candy to a girl at a bus stop. She radioed the police and stepped between them, just as Anthony had done. The man fled. The girl was safe. That evening, the local news ran the story. Eyes on the route credited with its first confirmed rescue. The next day, a newspaper headline read, "Carrier trained by Route 18 Hero Street Ops Abduction." Anthony's supervisor called to congratulate him. The regional office was now fielding calls from half a dozen districts. The Magnolia Court post office received flowers again, this time from strangers. The bench where he'd sat now had a small handmade sign. "Thank you, Mr. Anthony."
One carrier, one child. That's why I said yes.
In the training room, a photo of that child and the carrier was pinned to the wall. The next session had a waiting list. Anthony still walked Route 18 every day. But now, he walked knowing others were watching too. 3 weeks later, a USPS regional director called. The national conference wanted a speaker. Would Anthony Wallace talk about Route 18?
They want me on the stage in front of 1,000 people. I am a mailman, not an orator.
He declined twice. Michael Harper called and said, "You already changed it. Now just tell them how." Anthony said yes. On the morning of the conference, Anthony stood at the podium in a bright hall, his hands gripping the sides.
I am not here because I am special. I am here because I pay attention. Every carrier sees things. I just sat down.
The quiet room broke into applause. Within hours, a cell phone video of his 3-minute speech had 1 million views. By Monday morning, the USPS chief of staff had seen it. Internal emails circulated. The phrase, "eyes on the route," appeared in a memo.
They're talking about making it official, from a bench to a national program. That's not what I expected.
He got back to his route the next day. The mail waited. The street was the same. He was not, but the video kept spreading, and so did the idea that a mailman's instinct could rewrite safety. 300 miles from Magnolia Court, Karen Whitfield filed a defamation lawsuit against Anthony Wallace and the HOA. The complaint read, Defendant Wallace, by his actions caused irreparable harm to my reputation and livelihood. A judge dismissed it with prejudice in 10 days, citing the ring footage as indisputable public record.
Everyone believes that video. I know what I saw. A stranger sitting with a child.
The dismissal made headlines again. Public scorn for Karen intensified. Support for Anthony swelled. Anthony's mailbox overflowed with letters, children's drawings, and notes that simply read, "We see you."
She's still angry. But the truth didn't change.
Karen's new landlord served eviction papers. She packed her things in silence. The local news re-ran the ring footage, now titled, "The Mailman Who Saved Sophia." Ratings spiked. Anthony stood at the end of Magnolia Court, watching the evening settle. For her, the fight was over. For him, it was only beginning. 2 months later, a mail carrier in Alabama noticed a man lingering near a playground, calling children by the wrong names. She stepped between them, just as Anthony had taught. The news broke nationally. Eyes on the route credited with a third prevented abduction. All 3 children were safe. That afternoon, a certified letter arrived from the USPS Office of the Postmaster General. Anthony Wallace was nominated for Carrier of the Year. The letter read, "In recognition of extraordinary vigilance, which led to the creation of a national carrier safety program, credited with saving 3 lives."
3 children, Anthony. That's because you sat down. Now stand up and let them give you that award.
I don't need a trophy. But those 3 faces, they're the only honor that matters.
His mailbox overflowed again, this time with congratulations from carriers across the country. In the training room, a banner had been hung. 3 children, 3 rescuees, 1 quiet hero. Anthony still walked Route 18. But now, the nomination letter sat on his kitchen table, unopened after the first read.
If I go to that ceremony, I go for every carrier who ever looked twice at a strange car. The question is, can a quiet man stand at a podium without losing himself?
The next morning, Anthony walked into the coffee shop where Michael Harper was already waiting.
Anthony, you are not going for yourself. You are going so the next mailman who sees a strange car knows his eyes matter.
I'll go. But I am not giving a speech about me. I am giving it about them.
That evening, he sat at his kitchen table with a blank piece of paper and a pen.
Start with the bench. Tell the truth about what you saw. Then tell them what they already know.
He wrote 3 lines, folded the paper into his shirt pocket, next to his flag pin. The ceremony hall was already being set up, but Anthony wasn't there yet. He had 1 more day on the route.
I don't need a mirror to know who I am. I just need the mail.
The letters kept coming. From carriers in Tennessee, in Texas, in Ohio. All said the same thing. We're watching.
I'll stand. Not because I am tall, but because the bench was low enough to see what mattered.
The hall was full. 500 fold-out chairs. When they called his name, Anthony walked from the back. USPS shirt pressed, flag pin on his collar.
I am here because a child was called by the wrong name. So I sat down. This trophy belongs to every carrier who looks twice at a quiet street. You are the eyes. I just blinked first.
His voice cracked. He pulled a folded paper from his pocket, didn't open it, just held it. Behind him, a screen lit with 3 photographs. Sophia Harper and 2 other children. The room was utterly still.
Their faces are the award.
300 miles away, in a dim studio apartment, Karen Whitfield watched the broadcast. Her hands were still. She turned off the screen before the applause. Anthony returned home late. He placed the trophy on the lowest shelf, beside the photograph of his father, and went to bed. The next morning, he put on his USPS shirt and walked Route 18 as if it were any other Tuesday. By midday, another news van appeared. Anthony gave a brief statement. The program is what matters. Support that. Then he refused all further requests.
Mr. Anthony, I drew you a picture. See, that's the bench, and that's you sitting there.
That's going on my fridge, right next to my mailbox schedule. Thank you, sweetheart.
He tucked the drawing into his mailbag next to the day's post. The bench on Magnolia Court stayed. Neighbors now called it Anthony's bench. 2 weeks later, Michael Harper and Anthony stood together at the Eyes on the Route fundraiser. The community had already pledged enough to fund 3 more training sessions.
This is permanent now, Anthony. The grant came through.
Then we better keep our eyes open. More carriers, more eyes.
That night, he read through more letters from carriers. One from a new mother simply said, "Because of your training, my son is still here." He set his alarm for 5, the same as always. 2 years passed. Eyes on the Route became a permanent USPS initiative, adopted in 12 districts nationally. Data from the first full year confirmed 3 child rescues, all directly credited to carriers trained in the program. Anthony Wallace was still on Route 18, still training new carriers every quarter. He still woke at 5, still put on his USPS shirt with the small flag pin, still walked the same streets. A follow-up letter from the Postmaster General arrived, noting the program's permanent institutional funding. He placed it on the shelf, next to the trophy, tucked under his father's photograph. Sophia Harper was in 5th grade now. She still drew him pictures. The bench on Magnolia Court had a new plaque, in gratitude to Anthony Wallace, who sat down. The Route 18 street sign caught the morning sun as he rounded the corner. He kept walking, same as every day, same as always. In a discount store, 87 miles from Magnolia Court, Karen Whitfield stocked shelves alone. No one recognized her. Her phone had no Nextdoor app anymore. Her social media was gone. She wore a name tag that said K. Whitfield. At 5 a.m., Anthony Wallace woke to his alarm, the same ringtone he'd used for 15 years. He paused at the framed photo on the shelf. Himself, Sophia, Laura, and Michael Harper, all smiling.
Still the same route, still the same people. That's all I ever wanted.
He touched his father's photograph, then the edge of the trophy, as he did every morning. He stepped outside. The sun was just breaking over the cul-de-sac. The bench, still there, caught the first light. The plaque shone. A neighbor's child waved from a window. Anthony waved back, same as always. He turned the corner onto Route 18, and the day began. Anthony Wallace walked Route 18 as he had for 15 years, but the street knew him as something more. The bench on Magnolia Court still bore a plaque, in gratitude to Anthony Wallace, who sat down. In a USPS training room, a new class of carriers watched the ring footage, learning from the man who sat down. On Anthony's refrigerator, a crayon drawing of a man and a bench still hung, 8th in a series Sophia sent over the years. Letters still came, not from reporters, but from carriers who'd spotted a strange car and acted. The trophy sat on the lowest shelf beside his father's photograph, where it had always been. A framed photo on the same shelf showed the Harpers and Anthony, still smiling, still a reminder. The Route 18 sign caught the morning sun, same as always, but now it meant something more. He kept walking. Not because he needed recognition, but because the mail still had to go through. And somewhere on a suburban cul-de-sac, a bench stood as proof that the quietest people can change everything. The mail truck pulled away from Magnolia Court, engine humming its familiar low note, as it had 1,000 mornings before. On the bench, a small bronze plaque caught the first light, in gratitude to Anthony Wallace, who sat down. Children still waved from front porches, and he waved back, same as always. The Route 18 sign stood unchanged, its white letters weathered but steady, marking the path he'd walked for 20 years. Anthony put on his blue shirt, pinning the small American flag to the collar, same as always. He touched his father's photograph on the shelf, then the edge of the Carrier of the Year trophy, then headed out the door, and he kept the same route. The bench still stands on Magnolia Court. No one's sitting now, but the plaque still gleams. A quiet man, a quiet street, a quiet kind of heroism that never asked for a stage. The proof that the quietest people can change everything.